What's up, everyone? I'm Don Ferguson, and welcome back to another kick-ass episode of Something New in the Teak Life Basement Bar. So before we start enjoying some bourbon, hit that subscribe button and be sure to follow us on social media. What are we trying this week? Bourbon. But not just any bourbon. This is one of Buffalo Trace's wheated bourbons. Weller Special Reserve. You guys have seen it. You've seen it on the aftermarket too, selling for about $5 million. Roll that intro. Welcome. Come on into the Teak Life Basement Bar, but before we taste, we talk. Weller Special Reserve is Buffalo Trace Distillery's entry-level wheated bourbon. So kind of how it goes in the hierarchy is Weller Special Reserve, Weller Antique 107. Oh, what's that? Oh, look at what happens to be hiding right there. And then you have Weller 12, and then the other 50 different Wellers that they have out on the market. W.L. Weller is the original wheated bourbon whiskey. And what they do is they substitute wheat for the rye. So if you are a big rye whiskey fan, this might not be for you. The W.L. Weller brand kind of dates back to the 1840s, right around there, and he called his juice an honest whiskey for an honest price. And it is relatively on the cheaper side if you can happen to find it. Let's get to the deets, okay? It's 90 proof. Aging, though, is kind of a little ambiguous. It's not defined, but some of the rumors out in the market, it's aged for around 7 years. Mash bill. So we talked a little bit about the wheat, but it's 70% corn, 16% wheat, and then 14% barley. I hinted around to it earlier, but yes, this is a highly sought after brand, little bit hard to find, so the prices are inflated. You can see them for 2 to 3 to even 5 times the amount that you would pay retail in a store. Okay people, that's just way too much talking. It's time to taste. I'm used to a pop, but if you know Weller and their bottles, they don't have a cork that you can pull out and pop. They have a screw cap. I don't know how I feel about it, but if you go back to what W.L. Weller said, an honest whiskey for an honest price, it kind of does make sense that they don't do this fancy shit. What they do is they put quality into their actual juice. So I'm kind of digging that. We're going to set that there. We're going to open it up. We're going to let it breathe. We're going to bring out little friend just to keep them company. Do a little swirl. I am using a Glencairn tasting glass from Rabbit Hole Distillery. So this is another rival bourbon. So there could be like a gang fight going on right now between bourbons. I don't know. Just saying, if things get out of hand, you know what's happening. Bottles for Weller are all the same. They have the same shape, really nice, easy pickup design. You know, if you're in a fast-paced environment or shelf space, one of the two, it's just pretty typical. It does give a little bit of the story about W.L. Weller on the back. I'm sure you guys already know this shit. Color. It is a burnt orange, kind of like a copper, a very light copper. It's like when you get a new penny and you want to hold on to that new penny. Kind of has that feel right now. It's a beautiful color. It's 90 proof, so the tears are just trickling down. Those legs are slowly walking. It's like a ZZ Top song. Now I am getting the aromas. They're already rising up to the challenge, so you're getting that corn. There's definitely a sweet corn on the nose. Some caramel, a little bit of toasted oak, light vanilla, sweet honey, like a nice sweet honey, and a little bit of cinnamon. Very inviting. It is 90 proof. You're not getting a lot of those ethanol vapors that are coming up and rising and kind of pinching you or punching you in the face. It's very pleasant for a 90 proof. Last swirls to open it up, aerate it a little bit more. Let's taste. Yeah, that signature corn. Man, it's got some woodiness to it, a toasted oak, little light smoke, little honey. I almost get a butterscotch on the back end, which is really cool. 3 times the charm. Yeah, that's pleasant. So this is definitely an entry level. So if you're starting to get into whiskeys or bourbons, you know, most notably bourbons, this is going to be light. This is not going to be heavy or overpowering. It is smooth, a little delicate. It does have some nice wood tones to it from the barrels that they're actually aged in. And on the Teak Life Truth, we're going to talk a little bit more about charred barrels versus toasted barrels. I couldn't resist going in for another one. This is nice. It's not the best that I've ever had, but for the price point, it's really good. If you jump up to the Weller Antique, phenomenal. Absolutely outrageous, amazing. But this is really good. And if you can find it for this price point, you're getting honey, some oak, wood tones, light smoke, cinnamon. You know, you're getting some caramel, some vanilla. Like, it's a nice sipper. And if you're, like I said, jumping into the bourbon realm, this would not be a bad option to pick up and to just kind of educate yourself on the differences between bourbons. Now, this one has actually won a lot of awards. I'm not going to go through them all, but it was rated 90 points by Wine Enthusiast magazine. It's got awards from the San Francisco World Spirits, New York Wine and Spirits, Whiskeys of the World. So this is absolutely a stellar choice to kind of get into whiskeys and bourbons. The glass is getting down. So that wraps up another episode of Something New here in the Teak Life Basement Bar. Weller Special Reserve, a very good pick. I don't know if it's quite Teak Life approved, but it's an absolutely good sipper that you want to complement in your basement bar. Be sure to subscribe to the Teak Life YouTube channel and turn those notifications on so you don't miss any further tasting episodes. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We often will do mini reviews, and then on top of it, we'll show you what we're going to be reviewing next week. And if there's anything that you think we should be talking about or belongs on the back end of this bar, hit that email. While I drink, stay tuned for the Teak Life Truth. Barrels, charred, toasted. What does it all mean? Thank you for hanging around with me to the end of the video for another Teak Life Truth. Let's talk barrels. And when it comes to bourbon, whiskey, tequila, whatever like that, why are barrels charred or toasted? It's a really good question, Don. I don't know. Now, when it comes to bourbon, there's a lot of rumors out there circulating why the barrels must be charred. One of the rumors was a pastor had a barn fire and it charred the barrels and it gave some bourbon a Wait a minute, a pastor was doing what? Another rumor is that they char the barrels to kind of get rid of those nasty residues and stuff like that that could impact the juice. I don't know. Is that true? Here's the facts, ma'am. Bourbon flows in and out of the wood with temperature changes. So as it's resting, the seasons, you're going to have some temperature changes. So it absorbs and then not absorbs. I don't know. It goes back to the barrel. What is that word? When they're making these barrels, the wood has to be 100% completely dry. When it comes to bourbon, as I kind of said before, bourbon barrels must be a little bit charred. So what is charring? Charring is partially burning. It's past toasting and the barrel will be black inside. Then there's toasting a barrel. Toasting is gentle. It's a gentler heating of the barrels that results in less caramelization. It's less common, and when it comes to toasting a barrel, there's actually various degrees. So, as the charred barrel will be black inside, there will be levels of different coloring in a toasted barrel depending on how much they're toasted. Think about it like this. You can make some s'mores, take your marshmallow, put it in the fire, it turns black. Or you can toast it. And there's various degrees of toasting that will lead to different variations of color and taste. You got it? Does that make sense? Well, whether toasted or charred, it leads to developing the flavor profiles within the blend of the juice inside. That's where you get all those fantastic flavors that are oozing out into your glass. It's another Teak Life truth, people. Not making this stuff up, it's true. Life's too short to drink bad liquor. Choose wisely. See you on the next episode.